Listen to me, motherfucker. I'm talking. I say horrible things sometimes because I think they're funny. My podcast is a verbal mosh pit because it's just me pinwheeling around. You don't know where the fuck I'm going to wind up, and I generally have no idea when it's going to end or start. I'm responsible for this whole goddamn thing. I want a little respect from you people. Hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt, 40-Year-Old Boy podcast, folks. I'm an entrepreneur. I've become a businessman back in the game. I run a Zazzle store, and by run it, I show up in an apron like Mr. Hooper and talk to Big Bird. We're there, and we're selling shirts, waiting for Grover to come along and steal an apple so I can shoot him in his fucking blue furry head. That would be a bad episode of Sesame Street. That's a gang Sesame Street. That's horrible. That's a ghetto Sesame Street. We don't want that. We want a nice Sesame Street where, Oscar lives in a can and talks to a worm. What's his name? Slimy, right? Slimy's the worm? I think so, yeah. And then Snuffleupagus is a giant elephant/horse who's covered with orange fur, and no one sees him except the Big Bird. That's odd. Sesame Street's a magical place, but it's also very confusing. I run a Zazzle store, folks, and I feel like I'm back in business because my crying and pissing and moaning last week has forced you to buy things. I think that's odd. I think all of a sudden you guys were like, Mike feels bad. Let's buy an oven mitt. And I'm like, oh, fantastic. Even though I'm not selling oven mitts, but... well, maybe people use their mouse pads for them. I don't know. I have no idea. Because there's no use for mouse pads anymore. Everybody got a trackball. Everybody's got a Mac with a little mouse inside. There's a mouse inside your Mac. When you hear him start whirring, that's when he's really running quickly. Folks, it's Thanksgiving. How are you? I'm good, thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. I'm sure you are dressed like Squanto with corn in your ass. I don't know what you guys do on Thanksgiving. That seems like a weird tradition that nobody would really exploit or explore. Or observe, quite frankly. What do you do for Thanksgiving? Well, I get together with my family and we have a turkey dinner. What do? I dress like Squanto and put corn in my ass. All right, well, good for you. I'm going to not invite you to share my traditions because I have a feeling they would clash. I got a feeling that stuffing at my house would be a little disturbing with you running around in a Squanto outfit wobbling around with a corn cob hanging out of your anus. All right. Ooh, anus. That's a horrible word. Why did I say anus? God, I hate it. And I've said it 3 times now. All right. So, folks... Yeah, my whining did the trick and got you folks to buy things last week. I don't know why. Let's update you. Let's update you on that. I haven't listened to last week's show, so I'm not sure exactly where what horrible line in the sand I drew about my career or where things are going. I guess it was bad because a lot of people wrote to cheer me up, which nice of you, nice of all of you. And I would much rather you wrote me than wrote anybody else who I mentioned in the episode. I'm not going to get into that. But apparently, some folks don't do as instructed. That's all I'm going to say. Some folks can't follow directions. And as is often the case, if you go to a store with your kids and your kids act up, your kids don't get in trouble. You get in trouble. Very rarely when you're in a store and your kids are acting the fool, no manager comes up to the kids and goes, "Hey, you kids, quit acting the fool," and then smiles at you and shrugs like, "Oh, well." No, he comes right up to you and goes, "Hey, keep your fucking kids on a leash. What the hell's wrong with you?" I will tell you, I'm very familiar with that, folks. And it was that concept was reintroduced to me last week, as some of you just can't fucking control yourselves. And it's so funny. I immediately in my brain, I'm just like, oh, this is. Because here's what happened. The next day, I opened up my email and there was an email there from people who were mentioned in last week's episode. And that was closely followed by a couple of other emails by people who were mentioned in last week's episode. And it's funny. You would think that I wouldn't be able to read it through all of the smoke from the burning embers of my career. But luckily, I was able to fan it away from my eyes and dab the tears away with my flannel shirt long enough to peer on there and get my tongue lashing. Everybody was cool. Everything is cool. But I just, you guys, man. I thought I was pretty clear, but that's okay. But everything's fine. Everything's okay, and that's good news. So I'm glad to hear it. Thanksgiving. It's a time of Thanksgiving. I'm giving thanks to all of you for having my back and supporting me, and I certainly appreciate it. Maybe we didn't exactly need to do some of the things that we did, but that's all right. And I love the fact that I'm saying we as if these none of you had anything to do with it. It has nothing to do with it. It was me. I'm a fucking idiot, and I need to just fucking own it, and that's fine. It's not your fault. None of you people did anything wrong. But I'm still going to use the royal we when I talk about myself and my stupidity. But I will tell you, some of you though I hit you in the nose with an electronic newspaper as you. It's so funny to me how quickly everybody just goes all Avengers Assemble when they think that there's someone's been wronged. You know what I mean? They're just like, oh my God, we got to get a posse. Hey, what the fuck? And they write me like, what should we do? Should we do this? What should we do? Can we do this? I'm like, no, fuck, no. Didn't I make it clear? Don't do anything. God damn it. But you can't write that in a note when somebody's trying to support you. You know what I mean? You can't just be like, no, freak. Put away your fucking X-Acto knife. We don't need to do that. All of a sudden, I'm Tyler Durden. I mean, it's like fucking insanity. Everybody assembles for Project Mayhem, and the next thing you know, fucking the internet's got a fucking smiley face burning in the middle of it. Jesus Christ. Not that I don't like having that kind of power over certain people. That's fine. I appreciate it. Thank you, folks. I'm glad everybody all of a sudden decided to just fucking, put your hands in the middle and go Schmidt. That's great. But, I can make my own fucking mistakes. I don't need to drag you people down with me. All right, I've talked about that long enough, probably. It's Thanksgiving, folks. We're giving. Was that worth the 5-minute mark? Listen, folks, I cannot do a long show tonight because it is 8:15 p.m. on Thanksgiving. No, it's Thanksgiving Eve. There you go. Thanksgiving Eve. That's a thing, right? And when the great turkey comes and puts an egg in your house, whatever the fuck he does, I have no idea what he does. I guess I don't. Today was like we're recording late because I got a late start today because I thought because I had stuff to do. All right, I need to tell you, I'm fucking raging right now because of my haircut. I got a haircut today. Now the last haircut I got was fucking. All right, here's the thing. My girl Natalie, we all know her. She's great. Yeah, I'm a fan. And so I show up, and I always ask her for like certain haircuts. I know it sounds stupid, but it's like I'm trying to get my hair to look a certain way, but I don't know what they call it. I mean, I don't know if I can't walk in and just go, "Hey, give me the Madison." I don't know what the fuck. Do haircuts have names? I have no idea. Give me the Estrada. I mean, I seriously, if there was some sort of name for what I wanted, I would say, "Give that to me," or do that. Who's calling? We got a text from somebody. Hold on. Let us when you know for sure. All right. Now I'm going to read Lily's texts on the actual show. That's how Lily's checked out for Thanksgiving. She already cooked her turkey yesterday, and that thing's gonna taste like a shoe. It's Wednesday. Thanksgiving is Thursday, but she's celebrating Friday. Is that when you're eating it? And she cooked it Tuesday. Well, no, tomorrow we're doing the thing in the park.
That's what I made it for. Is for tomorrow.
No, you said to me. All right, here's the thing. I mentioned last year at this time that Lily was doing a hobo Thanksgiving. Which, of course, means that she's going to put burnt cork on her face and then blow strangers for money so she can afford a turkey sandwich. They do a thing where like her and a bunch of burlesque people all dress up and they have a maypole and they dance around. And I don't know. I could not have made more fun of it last year if I tried. And yet I've been talked into going this year. But there's a reason why. Because my wife, there's a movie coming out called Burlesque. And Lily is very excited to see it because she loves anything to do with burlesque, and she really wants to go ahead. And she's a big Cher fan and a big Christina Aguilera fan. And the very fact that like Cher and Christina Aguilera, who are two of her favorites, are getting together and doing a movie about burlesque, which she really loves, she knows it's going to be fantastic, and she can't wait to go.
You're so full of shit.
I don't know what you're saying. What are you saying? So she's very excited. So she mentioned burlesque, and she was all excited to go. And then Karen wants to see that movie, too. So Karen told me, hey, because Lily said a group of them were all going, which means they're all going to get their feather boas and throw their big pancake makeup on their face and then go sit with their arms crossed and hate a movie about the thing they love. So she's all excited to do that, and she's like, oh, I can't wait to go and shit on this. And I said, well, the thing is, Karen wants to see that movie, and she would probably love to go with you guys if you're going. And Lily said, well, great, I'll let you know when we're going. So I told Karen. Karen said, great, I'm in. And then Lily says, yeah, guess what? We're going Thanksgiving night. which I don't get. I mean, look, if you want to hate on something, can't you hate on a non-holiday? Can't you just enjoy your holiday, eat, dress like Squando, put corn in your ass, and then go to sleep on it, and then the next day go ahead and hate everything? I don't know. So, Karen wants to go to the movie with them, so that's Thanksgiving night. And as we all know from my debacle last year, my Thanksgiving, I'm 7 years old and I want it meticulously planned and I want things to be a certain way. And so I said to Karen, I go, look, you can still go with them on Thursday night. She's like, well then, I hate being away from you on Thanksgiving. What are we gonna do? And I said, here's a plan. Why don't we do this? Let's go to their ridiculous pagan bullshit in the park in the daytime, and then you can go to the movie right afterwards, and I'll go home and crash, and then we will have our Thanksgiving on Friday. We'll cook and do all that. Our Thursday will become Friday, our Friday will become Thursday. So that sounds like the plan. Good, 10 minutes, folks. We're at 10 minutes. There's gonna be I'm serious. I'm gonna go running fucking clock like a goddamn airport voice. You know what I mean? 10. I know. You know what? I should get the chick from Iron Chef in here. 10 minutes have elapsed. Great. There's no set time limit, but I'm going to try not to be I'm not going to be as arbitrary here. I'm going to just fucking end it. We're going to fucking know when it's done, folks. All right. Because as I've mentioned it, I've got to save up for the hobo thing tomorrow. I have to go buy fingerless gloves and a fucking knapsack. All right. So I said to Karen, why don't we go to their ridiculous thing in the park and then you can go to the movie? She's like, yeah, that sounds like a good plan. So then I told Lily, and Lily was very nice and said, good, we would like you to come. And then she proceeds to tell me 9 stories about a turkey. Like here's my favorite part about Lily too. She starts to tell me about it on the phone. Lily, I follow you on Twitter and I see you on Facebook. I mean, how many times am I gonna have to hear the story of the turkey debacle? Honestly, oh my Christ! She calls me like from a moving car. She's on a bus. Someone stole their turkey. She's chasing Jack Black. I don't know what the fuck is happening. It's an animated story. Her turkey's been based on a story by Precious by Push and Sapphire. I don't fucking know. All I know is every turkey detail. I don't know why. This is why social media was invented, so I could find out about Lily and her goddamn dinner 1,000 times in a day. So she cooked this turkey. So I will say this though. Even though I talked to you, read about it, heard about it, saw the Twitters, all that stuff, apparently I've misunderstood it. Because what I thought you said was you cooked it for you and Eddie. She said, I cooked a turkey and stuffing for me and Eddie. I'm so excited. But you're dragging it to this hobo thing in the park?
I made an 18-pound turkey
yes.
for Eddie and I.
Right.
Eddie and I are not going to eat an 18-pound turkey. I made an 18-pound turkey so we would have leftovers for the hobo Thanksgiving. Specifically so that we would have turkey there.
All right, so here's my question. Now, you should be on mic for this. I'm sorry, folks.
It's okay.
I apologize. Yeah, that's true. And if they can't hear you, they can read your Twitter feed or they can read your Facebook feed. Yeah, double fingers. But here's my question.
Yes.
You say you made an 18-pound turkey for you and Eddie, and then the leftovers are going to be brought to Hobo Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Hobo Thanksgiving starts at 11 in the morning. Are you guys getting up at 8 a.m. and eating turkey and stuffing and then bringing the leftovers over there?
No, I cooked it all yesterday. It's all sitting in the fridge to be reheated to bring tomorrow morning now.
So you didn't cook it for you and Eddie. You cooked it for Hobo Thanksgiving.
Well, I cooked it. We were going to sit here
You were going to
eat our dinner.
But you didn't.
No, my stove didn't work.
Right, yeah. All right, well, I'll get to that. Because that's what happened is Lily, she went through this whole thing where she's going to cook this dinner. Again, we've mentioned Lily's cooking exploits. I've seen one thing Lily's cooked in her life, and it was on an open fire out by a pool. And it was me, the Smart family, and Lily. Did I mention the Smart family? Have I talked about them before? Yeah, Lily. It was fun. They were these friends of Lily and her ex-husband, and they were really genuinely nice people. But it was so weird. They were a couple. They were adults. They're very pleasant, nice people, with the smartest, most precocious kid on the planet. Like you have no idea how their gene pool mixed in such a way to set forth a progeny who was going to change the earth. And never have I seen two people who were so convinced that their kid was going to change things. I mean, it was like, I like along the lines of like Tiger Woods' dad, where he's like, he's going to sit at the head of all tables. You know what I mean? Well, the Smart family were really cool people, and I dug them, and they were really nice. But boy, it was almost like they had like a Billy Mummy wishing into the cornfield relationship with their daughter. because they would like be eating and then they'd kind of like glance over at her like, is it okay to eat this bread? And then she'd kind of nod and they'd be like, oh, they'd ravenously eat it because it was the only time of day they'd be allowed to eat because otherwise this precocious kid would get a microphone and interview four people who happen to walk by the pool in a way that you would make you want to watch it on television. I mean, honestly, how many 8-year-old kids get their own radio show? Seriously. And that's not even like a joke. Like she got hired to do her own thing, like her own radio show. Someone went, oh yeah, we need, because again, kids are cute, and you could say, well, let's put a kid on TV. They can pull it off. But if you give a kid a fucking radio show, that kid knows what they're doing. That means a kid is effectively communicating. How many children do that? Most of the time, kids are running around like Lord of the Flies in a supermarket, and the manager comes over and fucking yells at you. Or they're emailing a guy that they shouldn't email. Most of the time, your kids just get out of hand, and they try to rush to your defense and do something silly and make you look like an idiot. All right, so. Please, I made myself look like an idiot. So Lily says she's going to make this turkey, and I'm like, I'm dubious. All right, I don't know how she's going to make a turkey because again, it's like it reminds me of Iron Chef when I saw Chef Morimoto like make turkey with a blowtorch, like he said, and I'm like, all right, good luck to you, Lily. Especially because I sit here in this house, and I'm like, there's no way. I mean, I bet it would smell awesome. Finally. Uh, Seriously, as opposed to it doesn't smell like a roach taking a shit. I mean, that's what this entire building smells like. But I shouldn't talk. My car, Karen and I got a pizza, and like we had the pizza in the car for 15 minutes. It doesn't matter. My week is ruined. My whole car smells like an onion farted. I mean, it's just fucking disgusting. So, but yeah, her house is just a fucking tragedy. So I'm like, well, she's gonna cook this turkey. Good luck for her. So she says she keeps bragging. I've got an 18-pound turkey. I'm gonna make an 18-pound turkey, and I got this stuffing. Oh my god, this amazing stuffing! I found the recipe on the Food Network. I'm so excited. And I'm like, all right, well that's good. And I will say this: her stuffing that she said she was gonna make has Italian sausage in it, and that's been something I've been thinking of recently. I'll get to it in a minute. How silly is that? Sounds so stupid. I'll tell you what I've been doing. I've been thinking about sausage recently. Dumb. And if that's not the name of the show this week, it's too early. But come on, I've been thinking about sausage recently. That would be great. All right, so Lily's going to make this sandwich or the sausage, and she's going to make this turkey. And then yesterday, what happens is she goes to make it. I guess here in the house, she trusses it up. She puts the wings behind it. She rubs the butter on it, and gets all the sausage squared away. And turns on her oven, and her oven doesn't work. Her oven does not work in this ancient house. And I don't know if it's just because she's too lazy to go out and chop the wood needed to burn inside of this oven. Because I'm looking right at it, folks, and it's a June Cleaver special. You know what? I will say this: maybe it doesn't work because this was invented before fire, and it doesn't use flames because it doesn't know how to. You turn it on, and it's like literally a question mark of just poofs out and like what fire? That hasn't been invented yet. Someone actually invented a stove before fire. Oh, that's fantastic. And trust me, I know stoves, folks. You're talking about a guy who grew up one time in a house that had like 3 different stoves, like literally a stove upstairs and a stove downstairs. Did I ever tell that story on here? Holy shit, I got to tell that story. All right, here's the thing. When I was a kid, we lived in Chicago. All right, and this was when drunk dad was still around, so it was like we were a family. And it's my mom, and this has got to be what year is this? This is going to be 74. I'm going to say I'm 7. Okay. So I'm 7, which makes Glenn. I'm being serious. He's 4 or 5. It depends on what month it was. I don't know. Or is this might have been 75 because Steelers Super Bowl. I'm trying to remember. Whatever. We lived in Chicago because we didn't move to the suburbs until the divorce. My mom and dad got divorced, and then we wound up getting evicted from our house by our grandparents, as I've mentioned on here. Did I mention that? Yes. All right. So we were living at a house at the time, and these memories are weird. Like I remember things from being a kid, but I don't remember them fluidly. Like I can remember things in snapshots. It's so weird. I told a story in the One Man about how I almost drowned, and how I literally remember it like a series of photographs. Well, there's a story that I remember like a series of photographs. My brother, he got grounded. My older brother Lenny, he was at the time, let's see, 74, so he's 10, and I'm 7. And he was grounded to our bunk beds. He was, yes, that was it. You have to stay in bed. He had to stay in his bunk bed. Which now, if you were grounded with that, you'd be like, this is the greatest grounding in the history of grounding. Oh, I have to stay in bed forever. Fantastic, done. Flip me when I have sores. Honestly, But back then, nobody wants to be in bed. You want to run around like a rambunctious chump. You want to go to the store and humiliate your father. So, or vice versa. And depending on whose dad you had. If you had mine, it was certainly vice versa. So I'm in the apartment, and Lenny, I remember this, because our brothers were small. Scott's only like 1 or 2. Did I tell the story about Scott when he came home from the hospital? Did I tell that story?
I think so.
Well, I told the story about Andy. It's a story about Andy. I apologize. I'm getting ahead of myself. Because Andy, all right, there's me and my brother Lenny, and then our middle son, the third kid is named Glenn. Well, he was named Andy. And, fuck, did I tell it? You're nodding.
Yes.
Can you finish it?
Yes.
If you can finish it, I'll stop.
I can't finish anything. I barely can tell my own stories.
All right, I will thumbnail this for you folks. My brother, there was my brother Lenny, then me, and then my next brother was born. He was named Andy. He came home from the hospital, and we loved him. We were like, "Oh my God, it's Andy! Look, it's Andy!" And we'd be there. My mom would change him, and we'd hold him, and all this kind of stuff. Andy, Andy, and I mean, I was 4. Lenny was 6, and my mom gets the birth certificate in the mail, and Andrew Stephen Schmidt is my brother. Ass.
That's right.
His initials are ass. So my mom immediately goes, "Fuck that." I don't know if she said that, but well, she probably did, my mom. And she changed his name to Glenn Stephen Schmidt. And and then we would not go near him for like 3 weeks because we wanted to know what happened to Andy. All right, that's that story. So kids are stupid. You don't know. Kids are dumb. They get out of hand. You tell them to do one thing, sometimes they do the other thing.
So true.
So I'm in the house, and Lenny's grounded to the bed, and I don't remember what he was grounded for. But because there's little kids in the house, there's little kid toys. I remember that. There's like Fisher Price toys and stuff. And we had a butcher, a baker, and a candlestick maker. And they were little wobbly guys. They weren't Weebles, because Weebles were like marbles but elongated. You know what I mean? They looked like actual polished stones, sort of. But the butcher baker, they had fat bottoms. So they would rock. Like, little kids, how you can hit it and it keeps coming back up. And they were made of hard plastic. But they were the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker. And Lenny's in bed, and he's yelling at me, and I'm yelling at him. I forget my mom. I don't know where she is at this point. And I'm sure I can guess where my dad is. And the baby monitor did not reach down to Lucky's Tavern. So Lenny's in bed, and he's yelling at me, and I'm yelling at him, and I'm laughing at him because he can't come get me. And I'm making fun of him. Ha ha, you can't get out of the bed or I'll tell, whatever. And he throws his pillow at me. And I'm like, "Oh, well, good. Now you don't have a pillow, idiot. Ha ha, I have your pillow." And then he goes, "You got to give it back." He's yelling, and he goes, "I'll come out there and get it." I'm like, "You can't get it." And then I said, "All right," and I threw the pillow back at him. And then he had like a boomerang toy that we had, and he just whips it at me out of the fucking bedroom, and it hits me. I mean, it like hits me. So I fucking throw it back at him, and then he grabs it and he throws it at me. So then I throw army men. We had army men, and I throw them at him. Now he's in a bunk bed. Okay, he's in the top bunk, and I'm in the hallway. I wouldn't even go in the room. Like, and we're just having this. I don't even know where my parents were. We're hurling shit at one another, but I can see like him winding up and me getting hit, and then me throwing, and then I can see it as plain as day, but in a series, not fluidly, but in photographs, I can see me looking down. I see the candlestick maker. And the butcher, because the butcher is in, he's in a white coat, and the baker has a white, he's got a hat on. For some reason, the candlestick maker had yellow clothes with a blue bottom, and he had like a lit up hat, kind of like he has a candlestick maker, but he didn't have arms. They're just little wobblies. So I was like, well, fuck yeah. So I immediately grab the candlestick maker, and I see myself rear back, and I throw it, and all I hear is as it goes through the bedroom window out into the fucking street. He's yelling, we're throwing shit. I see candlestick maker. I pick, I pick it up. I throw it. This huge, like a huge breaking noise. And it's a Chicago, brownstone. So like all the houses are, there's just this thin, narrow path between them. And I think, I had a pretty decent arm at 7. I might have even hit the the brick building next to it. But the fucking candlestick maker, and then you just hear like the smash and then the silence of, all the like noise. And then literally, next photograph, me grounded in the bottom bunk with Lenny above me. Just sitting there. How did we get here? But that's exactly what happened. I got grounded to the bed. I'm making fun of him. The whole thing starts, I'm making fun of him. I get grounded to the bed. And him laughing just above me. Just like, You dick. Even at 7, cock. Grounded to the bed. Just like that series of photographs. Candlestick maker, throw, smash. Me in the bed. Sad. Chin in hands. Horrible. But in this same house, we had my mom would have they had parties. My mom and dad, and they would have, you know, there would be regular parties where like their lifelong friends would come over and play canasta all night, and then we would stay up and you know eat snacks and oh my god, those dude, how great are those times? Like you remember when you were a kid and you're like my mom. All right, Kay and Bill were friends of ours. Okay, and they were friends of my mom's, and they were lifelong friends. And Kay and Bill would come over to play cards. They'd play canasta or whatever, and other couples would come, and they'd all be in the kitchen playing. And Kay and Bill would bring over Eddie, their son. So Eddie would just, it's 5 boys plus Eddie. And what we would do is that same bedroom window, we would sit at it, and we would play Weather Report. We would pretend that we were on television, and we were telling the weather to people. And then we would give the news. We would pretend that we were giving the news. And then we would have to they would put us to bed, but they'd still be playing and drinking and whatever. And then we'd be in the living room, and they'd have the TV on for us. But it was, and Creature Features would be on. We would watch. It was called Creature Feature, and I'll never forget it. One time we were watching, it was like Boris Karloff or The Mummy or some shit, and it's black and white, and then a hair got on the lens, like, and it like it made this weird, like it was something completely unexpected, and all of us kids went like we all were scared because we were watching a scary movie, but then all of a sudden there was hair on the lens. I don't even know why it freaked us out because we're 7. And then of course everybody comes running in with their highballs and their fucking early times and they're like, what's going on in here? Well, nothing. There was a monster on the show, and there's like, oh, you want us to turn that off? No, leave it on. And then they go back and play cards till 4 a.m. But those were the best times, man, because then it was like my mom would be happy, they'd be happy and they'd have people over, and then at midnight, like there'd be a knock on the door, and and there's pizza. Like they would order pizza in the middle of the night, and we would get to eat pizza. Just like, hey everybody, it's like this, just this party house. It was so great. Another thing too is with Chicago, so they would go get fried shrimp in the middle of the night, like there's just joints. There's just places in the city that are open. You know how it is. And we would get Gino's Pizza, and they'd get beef, and then they'd get fucking fried shrimp. They'd be playing cards at fucking midnight, eating fried shrimp with their kids, and hey, you guys want some of this? And just because you think now, like all these kids are so protected and all this different stuff, these people are drunk out of their minds. Well, we're throwing candlestick makers through the goddamn window. But yeah, it was so much fun. So anyway, in that same house, but I will tell you that one time at a party, my dad got real ugly one time. My dad got drunk and he was pissed at us for something, for nothing, because we were drunk, or he was drunk, and he actually spanked Lenny, like he made Lenny drop his pants, like at the party, like and it was really. I remember even being a kid going, oh, this is bad, and he hit Lenny with a belt, like he spanked Lenny with a belt, and at the party, like it was like everything was in, and then like Lenny would just like laid there crying on the bed with his pants down, not bare ass, but just in a pair of underwear and with his pants down, and my dad hit him. It was just like, and I what I remember, I felt awful for Lenny. I felt so awful, but even more than the feeling of awful was the profound sense of relief that it wasn't me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know if you had that as a kid or whatever, but I mean, Jesus Christ, I felt so bad for Lenny and him getting spanked, and it was embarrassing. I knew even then it was embarrassing. But I remember being so happy it wasn't me, because it could have been me. My dad, who the fuck, he could have punched the dog. I don't know what the fuck he's doing at that point. My dad's about 4 pints in. You know what I mean? A bad hand of canasta, and everybody's getting racked. So yeah, but those. I mean, it was just my house was it was kind of a zoo. We had my mom brought in this couple that was living in the basement. Did I talk about them on here? This girl Sue. I don't know if she's a runaway or she was like 18, and she would watch us when my mom wasn't around. Sue and her boyfriend Yano. I remember his name was Yano, big Polak guy. And but they were young, and they would hang out with my mom and get high, and I didn't know it was high at the time because my mom had not told us about the dope yet. That wasn't until the divorce and we moved and all that kind of stuff. But they'd be drinking and they'd have these parties. Well, and then sometimes when my mom wasn't around or my dad, they would drink and they would have these parties and they'd have their friends come over. So like we'd just be in a house with strange teenagers and we wanted them to like us. You know what I mean? So we'd just be hanging out. And I remember one time, I forget why Sue started tickling Lenny. Like she started like joking around, like ha ha ha, and we were all joking around. They were chasing us, and we were running, and it was like because they were they were only like 17, 18, and we were 7 or 8, and we're running around and playing hide and seek. And when they'd catch you, you had to run, and they had to tag you to make you it. And I remember Sue, she grabbed Lenny and she started tickling him. He was real ticklish, and he's like, no, no, and she's like, oh, you're ticklish, ha ha. And then two other girls, they all started tickling Lenny. He's like, no, stop, no, no, stop, and he threw himself back against the wall and crashed through the fucking wall, the drywall, smashed right through it. Just ass first. Wham! Like if you were posting up a guy, like seriously, if you were fucking like Rick Mahorn and you were just driving your big ass as you posted up fucking Bill Cartwright and tried to score on him bad boy style, and then your ass went right through the goddamn wall. He leaped backwards to get away from it because it's that weird little kid thing. You can't control your body. You don't know what's happening. All you know is like you're laughing and you're excited because they're tickling you, but you're also like, oh my god, stop! And you got 3 girls and it's weird, and then all of a sudden he jumps back and his whole ass and elbows, everything, he caves in the fucking drywall in the living room. And that thing where you all make that face again, it's that beat. All of a sudden it's the candlestick maker. There's silence. Cut to Sue in the bed, grounded. I'll never forget it because it was that beat of silence, and then there's like smoke and drinking and everything, and then everybody starts laughing because what else do you do at that point? And then I'll never forget it. We rebuilt the wall, we didn't fix it. We just took all of the pieces, because it all collapsed in, like spider web style, smashed, like a huge divot. And what we did is we pulled it out, and then we, reassembled it and tried to, make it look presentable to go, well, it's not that bad. Well, no, it's a huge fucking hole. All you did was, rebuild it puzzle style. It's fucking terrible. So I remember, Sue and Yano, that did not go over very well with my mom. But our basement was furnished, so people could, live in it and stuff, and there was a stove downstairs. So, I think I mentioned before that we played Mr. Magic in Romeoville.
Yes.
All right, well, we played Mr. Magic was a game we used to play in Romeoville. This is after. All right, this is post Candlestick Maker. This is post divorce. All right, so I will retell this when we were growing up. For all of you new people who jumped in, my mom would work. My mom worked during the day, and I told you they were divorced. So my mom would work, and my dad was off, getting ready to die. Funny for you? All right. Well, that's true. It's true. I mean, I'm being honest. My dad was busy being enabled by my grandparents so he could die at 13 and scar me for life. All right, so he didn't die at 13. If he dies at 13, this show's not even happening, quite frankly. And you're all enjoying your Thanksgiving that much more. Nobody's eating turkey and then going past the corn and immediately thinking of Squanto with corn in his ass. That's not happening. If he dies at 13, my inconsiderate father. So he's off. He gallivants off. It's so funny. This is a problem I will tell you, folks. I always feel like I need to retell everything because a lot of the times I just assume my audience is my audience and I just talk. But then when I realize there's new people will write me every week and they'll be like, hey, I just jumped in and I love listening to you and stuff. But sometimes you do say something that, I can't wait to buy the first 2 seasons so I can catch up, which is nice. That's really cool. Of course, they never buy it. But other than that, no, I'm teasing. They buy it. I'm joking. Especially last week when I guilted everybody apparently with my sadness. I made everybody feel bad for me. No one likes me. Please buy a fucking pencil. All right, so. What are we talking about? Mr. Magic. So in Romeoville, this town where I grew up, my mom would work. And it's so funny. I told you, I go back. I've been back there now since. And it looks like I lived in a tool shed. I mean, it's the smallest fucking house. But it was a starter house essentially because my mom lived there with. It was a trailer house without wheels. It wasn't even. It was that small. But my mom was there with her 5 boys, and my mom had to work. So we were very responsible young men, and so we had to watch ourselves during the day. And because we had an open house, all of our friends would get to come into the house. My mom's rule, by the way, was nobody in the house when I'm not here. Well. Good for you, Mom. I'm glad you've drawn a line in the sand that we're happy to erase. So we would all hang out, and that's why I said we played Sayonara to the Peanut God, where we played all these different things. Then we wrestling, and all sorts of crazy shit happened. One day did I ever tell the story we destroyed our lawn? Did I tell that story?
No, save it.
All right.
It's a short show, remember?
Yeah, well, that's fine. Well, these are short stories. That's not a big story. I'll tell you this real quick. well, first I'll tell Mr. Magic to kind of set it up. We would have everybody come in, and we decided to play a game called Mr. Magic. And what we did was we turned all of the burners on our stove, and my mom made homemade hot chocolate. So it was a huge, like, those homemade Tupperware canisters? It was a gigantic canister of homemade hot chocolate with like powdered sugar and cocoa powder. I don't know how she made it. And so what we did, because there was so much of it, and it was summer. We're not drinking hot chocolate now. We turned all of the burners on in the stove, and we played Mr. Magic, where we would go, all right, voila, and we would say voila, and we would throw handfuls of hot chocolate into the air over the burner, and it would go, whoo, and it would make like a sparkly, it would burn, it would set on fire, and make like a huge cloud of flame, and so it was like, yay, and we all took turns playing Mr. Magic, and essentially it was so funny. Some of us had some panache. All right, some of us had fun, and we were playing Mr. Magic, and we would, tuck our sleeve up a little bit, and we would say, voila, and we'd throw something in the air, and then, like, Luke Witkevich would just fucking whip a handful of fucking hot chocolate into the fire and just, and go, ha, 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 what else do you have that I can destroy? Oh, your brother's mouth? I made to do it. I tell that story? We were playing backstage, Luke's graduation, he's fucking swinging a tetherball pole. I told that, yeah? Fucking, we're playing tetherball. We decide tetherball's not fun. God damn it! I'm sorry. I'm repeating a ton of shit, folks. It's Thanksgiving. It's a greatest hit show. Why not? So, well, if I told that, I'm not going to tell it. So we played Mr. Magic like for days. We would play Mr. Magic. We would just throw it in there and throw stuff in the air, whatever. And then the weekend comes, and my mom goes to cook dinner, and the burner won't come on. And then she thinks the pilot light is out, and she hears a little clicking, and she looks, the pilot light's fine. She's looking, and none of the burners will come on. And upon further investigation, she looks at the burners and realizes that they are encased in fudge. And she looks at us, and she's like, what happened to the stove? And we're like, what? Of course, because when you're a kid, that's the first thing. What? And she says, well, what's this all over here? And she kind of like picks it with her finger, and she can't get it off, but she's chipping it a little bit. But I mean, it's fucking thick. Thick. As thick as me saying that word. Thick. And she realizes kind of what it is, and she's like, what the fuck happened here? And of course, the only thing that was more scary than my mom was the thought of my mom after lying to my mom. So we immediately were like, oh, well, we were playing Mr. Magic. And what the fuck is Mr. Magic? We said, well, we spilled some hot chocolate on the burner, and it made it like a noise. Like we're trying to get out of it, And she just beats our ass, and then we have to fucking chip the fucking fudge off of the goddamn burners. Terrible. So that's that stove-related incident. And what I'm going to tell you now is my mom should not have been surprised. Because when we were kids, we lived in Chicago in this house with the candlestick maker and Sue and Yano. They were all together under one roof. And there's a stove downstairs. And my brother Glenn, at the time that this story occurs, he's probably 5. Jesus. 4 or 5. And he's downstairs with us. And we're going to teach him about stoves and fire. Oh, no. And why he should stay away from them. Oh, no. So we go downstairs, and we're talking to him. We're like, all right, this is the stove. You stay away from this. It's hot. And then, of course, because Glenn is a curious child, if nothing else, he puts his hand on the stove. We go, no, don't do that. And he goes, it's not hot. We said, well, no, it's not hot now. But if you turn it on, it gets hot. Watch. So we turn, because we don't know any better, we turn on the stove part with the numbers, the 350, 450. And, it's not hot, because that doesn't happen right away. But I will tell you, we realized the only thing to do then is to turn it up, because obviously we didn't do it right. So we turned the stove all the way up to 500 degrees. And it's not hot. And Glenn starts with come on. He thinks we're playing a trick on him now. He's like, come on. And again, I should tell you, I'm 7. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know how the fucking stove works either. I just know that I was told that it was hot and I'm not supposed to go near it. So I immediately need to pass on that knowledge by going near it. And I will tell you, I start to doubt at this point. So I look at Lenny, and our logic, this is where our logic takes us. We were told not to go near the stove and stuff when we were upstairs. There's the stove in the kitchen. Well, maybe only the stove in the kitchen gets hot. The stove downstairs doesn't get hot. It's not all stoves. It's just the upstairs stove that we were warned about. Oh, all right. Well, maybe we're false alarm. And Lenny's like, well, look, there's other knobs. Maybe those are what make it hot. So we turn on the burner, and no fire, but we hear the clicking, and we're just like, well, all right. So, and then we turn on the second burner, no fire. Like, what the hell? Why isn't it getting hot? What's happening? Turn on the third burner, nothing. And we turn on the fourth burner, nothing. Still not hot, nothing. And then we start putting our hands on it. We're like, oh, come on. This is a bullshit story. Maybe this whole stove thing's a fucking ruse. Why would you fucking... What, does Mom not want us to use the stove for... Why? She doesn't want us to cook stuff? Now we're starting to question our whole upbringing at this point. If I would have had... if I'd had 5 years of knowledge, I would have known, well, Mom's fucking high and she's got hippies living in the basement. What the fuck does she know about stoves? But at the time, I'm still in a trusting mode. So I can't understand it. I'm like, it's not getting hot. And they're on and whatever. Maybe it's not, maybe it doesn't work in the basement. And as kids will do, you just look at one another, shrug, and say, let's play cars. So we just walk away. I mean, we just go ahead and we start playing in the basement. We're screwing around and I don't know how much time goes by, but we're playing down there and it's fucking hot. Out of nowhere. Like, we didn't even really notice it. It just started creeping up on us. We're like, oh my God, it's so hot down here as we're playing, and we're not saying, oh my God, again, we're children. But I'm not going to do a child voice and I'll spare you. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God, it's so hot out here. So stupid. I can't believe how hot it is right now. I won't do that. I'll spare you folks. That voice is only for my apartment. All right, so... So it's hot, and we all make eye contact and we're playing. We realize how fucking scorching hot it is. And I don't remember where Andy and Scott were. They were too small, so they were probably upstairs. At this time, we were just inducting Glenn into our horribleness. So we're playing around downstairs with Batman or whoever, and it's fucking hot. And then we look at each other and we're like, man, it's really hot down here. And wait a minute. All as collective little children, all as Muppet babies, we're like, it must be the stove. We don't say goddamn. But we walk over to the stove, and the closer you get, it's palpable. Like, you know how you look and you see heat off the street? You know what I mean? That we can see heat, all right? We can actually see it. Not only feel it, we can fucking see it. And it also fucking stinks. We don't know what the hell's happening. It's just like so horrible. We'd only been playing for like 10 minutes. But we get closer to the stove and you can see the heat and feel it and it smells and we're like, oh my God, why does it smell so bad? And we're like, and you see that it's so hot. We're like, aha, see, we told you, don't go near the stove because it gets hot. So Glenn's just nodding. Mm-hmm. Like he can see it, he can feel it. And so we open the oven door and woof, I mean, this huge fucking cloud of death just envelops us. Just this crazy hot, and it blows our heads back. Like it's almost like we open the door to hell, and you just peek in, like, I'm surprised we didn't hear a deep laugh. Like, oh my God, it's so hot. So we're like, dude, close the door. So Lenny's got the door, and Glenn's standing there. I'm looking, and he goes to close the door, and we can hear that. The door is open. The heat's blowing in our face, and we're looking at the heat. And Lenny's like, well, we got to turn this off. And we're like, yeah, no kidding. Turn it off. And we go, close the door. And Lenny goes, all right. And he slams the door. And when he slams the oven door, it lights one of the burners on the stove. A huge fireball. I mean, I can't even explain to you the size of it. It was a flash. All we saw was orange flash. And we all hit the ground. Like we were thrown by this huge, it almost like knocked us down, and it's like, whoa, and it burned our faces. We felt it, and it's just, because when he slammed the door, he kicked the fucking pilot light on, the burners went on, and whoom, the gas had been on for 10 minutes. We hit the fucking ground, we stand up, The fire from the stove is burning. We're in the basement. It's burning the floor and ceiling above us.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It's the ceiling above the stove. The flames are that high. They're licking like the wood of the ceiling. We fucking literally there's like whoa. We just fucking stand up like. We go running upstairs, and my mom's up there. We're like, Mom, there's a fire, there's a fire, there's a fire. She's like, what? And Mom, there's a fire, there's a fire. And she's like, where is there a fire? Where? And we go, downstairs. And so she comes downstairs, and we're very well prepared. We've got a fire extinguisher. No, we don't. The place where we stored it is filled with whiskey. So we go running downstairs. My mom sees, she's like, oh my God. And she she goes to like get close. My mom, okay, look. My mom's a badass, all right? Like, she didn't panic or freak out or call me. She just went, oh, my God. And she just comes walking toward the oven. And we're like, no. And she's, like, leaning back and covering her face. And she's trying to turn the burners off. And she does. She turns all the burners off. But there's still, like, kind of like residual flame from the pilot light. And so she just walks over and she grabs a pillow. It was like a throw pillow, not even like a big blanket or anything. And she just grabs it off because there's a furnished couch in the basement. She grabs the pillow and we're just standing there dumbfounded. Our mouths are open, just watching my mom go to work. She didn't even fucking blink. She just like fucking reaches in the flames, covering her eyes, turns the fucking burners off, still flame. She kind of like, whatever. She goes over to the couch, grabs the pillow, just starts beating the shit out of the stove to put the goddamn fire out. Finally, the fire goes out.
Oh, Jesus.
And it's so funny, again, that series of photographs. You just see my mom, covering her face, turning the burners, me looking at Lenny looking at me, and then Glenn is just dumbfounded, shitting his pants, whatever. My mom grabs the pillow, she's beating the fucking fire, and then that weird fucking, that silhouette where you smell burning, like the whole house. You smell, that's what we smelled was gas. You smell gas and burning, and you just see my mom's back as she's like hitting the fucking stove, and then she stops, and she's kind of like breathing. She's holding the fucking pillow. And then she just turns around. And she never looked bigger in her life. I mean, she just, all of a sudden, instead of mom, it was like this monster. You know what I mean? Because she had beaten back the flames of hell, this woman. Fear her. Fear her, for God's sakes. Who cares if she puts hippies in the basement and has canasta parties where she's eating fried shrimp in the middle of the night? That's fun, Mom. This is Mom who just had to fucking put out a goddamn 3-alarm fire because you and your asshole brother had to teach your other little brother about fire. So she just wheels on us, like slowly. Like slowly I turned, like Three Stooges style, Niagara Falls. She just turns around and looks at us. And we're just standing there because we don't, I mean, what do you say? I mean, and then finally Lenny, of course, because Lenny's the older one. He's the spokesperson. Good for him. He gets all he can muster to squeak out. We're just showing Glenn not to use the stove. And my mom just squints at us like Clint Eastwood style. And then just kicks the shit out of us with that pillow. I mean, just starts fucking wailing, just blasting us with the pillow. I mean, like, and it's just like, and it shouldn't hurt, but it's like at 7, you're just like, my mom's hitting me, and I know it's supposed to hurt, so it's like, this hurts, ow, and we're crying, and we're like sad, but she's like, what the, I told you the stove is hot, and stay away from the fucking stove, and just blasting us. Glenn gets off. Glenn gets, he's little, because he's too little to get fucking jacked. Me and Lenny are getting fucking spanked, and but all pillow spank, so it's like not so bad, I guess. But I will tell you this: it's a good thing she had a pillow, because if she had a fucking rolling pin or a golf club, again, this show's not happening. I'm dead even before I died at 13, or before my dad died at 13. What I'm saying is, folks, that this show almost never happened, many, many times. So my mom kicks the shit out of us with the pillow, just blasts the shit out, leaves us lying in a heap in the goddamn basement, and we just lay, and all we did was lay down there and cry. Ooh, we just cry and my mom just fucking throws the pillow. Stay away from the goddamn stove! Walks back upstairs. And we're downstairs for a while crying, and we're just like, you okay? We leave. We go back upstairs slowly, trying to make sure there's no problem. Get upstairs. And where we have to go is up the back steps through, it's from the basement. It's out the porch, basically. It's, there's a covering, and then you get into the kitchen. And we come into the kitchen, and it still smells like burning, and it smells awful, and we go into the kitchen, and on the floor of the kitchen by the sink, it's just black
Oh.
because the linoleum of the floor just burned through the fire went right through the ceiling and burned this huge manhole sized black dot into the linoleum of the kitchen floor. And Lenny and I just look at it and we look at each other like, yeah, I guess that was stupid what we did then. And we were downstairs crying. Glenn had come back upstairs. So then Glenn comes into the kitchen as we're just standing there. He walks over and we go, hey, Glenn. We point at the floor and he goes, see? We told you not to use the stove. Because it gets hot. We made it a teachable moment, folks. I just got my ass kicked with a throw pillow. I almost died not only from a huge flame, but I almost died from probably gas inhalation. That's my favorite part is my mom beat the shit out of me and left me down in the gas-filled basement to sob and breathe in, like gulp huge breaths. She was probably just hoping that nature would take over and she wouldn't have to fucking worry about us at that point. She grabbed Glenn because there was still something to save. Brought him upstairs. Left the two fucking stove-cracking idiots downstairs to meet their maker. Just less shrimp to buy in the middle of the night. So we tell Glenn, I told you not to use the stove. It gets hot. See? Pointing at the floor like we were the geniuses who came up with that. Like this was our whole plan. You know what we're going to do? We're going to fuck up the kitchen floor just to prove to you how you shouldn't use the stove. Cut to fucking 2 hours earlier. We're both like, it's not hot. I guess she lied. Okay. I guess she lied, you jackass. And the worst part is that no lesson learned. No lesson learned whatsoever. None at all. None at all. Same fucking house. Same house. 5 kids, my mom and my dad. And I will tell you this, my dad, at this time, my dad's driving a truck. He drove a truck for Jewel. It's a grocery store in Chicago. He's driving a truck and he's drinking. Okay, and he's staying out all night drinking a lot. So I think did I tell the story where he came home? Why do I ask you? I mean, I apologize. I don't mean to make you that. You're not the fucking stenographer. Hey, Mrs. Von Stupp, the minutes back, please. I'm an idiot. Either you remember, if you remember it, tell me. If you don't, that's fine. And if you folks remember it, then write me and tell me I'm a jerk for repeating myself. But come on, it's Thanksgiving. Let's all have a fun holiday. Seriously. Take the corn out of your ass and have a good time. All right. So, my dad was, he would do this sort of thing where he would go out and get drunk and he'd fight. He would fight at bars and all that kind of thing. And my dad was a genius because what he would do is he'd get fucking pounded drunk and then he'd get in a little dust up in the bar with a guy and it'd be like, I ought to pound you. Well, why don't you step outside and say that, you mug? Well, why don't we do it? And then my dad would go outside to the alley and then that guy would come out with 9 of his friends. And they would proceed to stomp the shit out of my dad. Literally. Because just a week before this particular story, my dad has come home, and all we hear is like a knock on the door at like 11:30. And I will tell you that my brother Lenny and I slept in the spank bed. The spank bed was in the living room. Remember when I said he got spanked in a party and it was like a big... Well, there was a bed in the living room. Okay, we had graduated from the bunk beds, and now Andy and Glenn were in the bunk beds. We were sleeping in the living room in another bed. Small house, but big family. Which you're all familiar with. So we hear knocking on the door like at 11:30 at night, and it scares the shit out of us. We don't know what's going on. We wake up, and my mom comes out, and she opens the door, and my dad is in the doorway, covered in blood, clothes ripped, shit his pants. He's just, and it smells like someone had a bowl of shit cereal with whiskey poured on top. I mean, it's just, and he's covered in blood, and we see him, and we don't know what to think. But at this point, we're used to him fighting with my mom and yelling, so we kind of avoid my dad a little bit. We don't really rush to him and go, Dad! I mean, I don't know if it's inherent in children that that there's chaos or that your father is making mistakes or that he does things wrong, but we knew we didn't rush to him like it was a surprise to us that he came home all beat to shit. Even at 7 and 10, Lenny and I were like, oh, well, looks like Dad got tuned up. You know what I mean? Kind of. So he comes in, and my mom immediately helps him. He leans on her, and he's coughing blood, and he's all fucked up. And I remember it vividly. My mom brings him in, and she brings him right to the shower and gets him undressed. And because we're watching, and she's like, "Go away!" And she's trying to shoo us away, but she's more concerned with taking care of her husband. And so she strips him and gives him a bath. Like she's got him in the shower, she's cleaning him up, and he can't move. He's wailing, and you can already see bruises. He's all fucked up, and so my mom patches him up as best as she can, and he goes to the hospital the next day, and he has broken ribs. He has like I don't know how many, but all I know is he's got broken ribs because my mom tells us, don't hug him too hard and don't go near him. I'm like, guess what? He came home with shit in his pants the other night. I don't think he's gonna get a lot of hugs this week. I love him. He's my dad and all that, but let's be honest. we're already kind of keeping our distance a little bit from the strange guy who hides booze in the linen closet and comes home shit in his pants and flirts with the hippies when you're not around. He did. He would have like Sue sitting on his lap. Like we would, it was like, and because we were confused. We didn't know. It was just Sue and Yano. They were friends. And Maggie was another one too. She stayed downstairs. And one time my dad was just sitting there with like Sue on his lap. And Sue was dating Yano, but Yano was with Maggie and Sue was on, like, I don't even know. I would want to talk to my mom now and go, hey, break this down for me. Were you fucking these hippies? I mean, seriously, I'm old enough to know now. Because, it was just like our house was this fun house of weird shit happening all the time like that. And again, I'm sure you all had those experiences where you had weird things. Well, you did. I know you had weird stuff happen. We all had weird stuff happen as kids.
I wonder if my parents were fucking hippies.
Well, I didn't wonder it at the time either. It was just accepted that my dad was kind of handsy with Sue, and she didn't mind. You know what I mean? And Yano didn't mind because he had Maggie in his lap. Like, we're downstairs, like, because they had a basket chair, like, not a spin fuck chair, but a basket chair, those old ones. And Maggie and Yano are sitting in that, and my dad is like, he's on the couch with Sue lying on top of him, like, she's facing him, like she's, her tits are in his chest, and she's just talking. They're all talking, just hanging out in the basement. And I'm like, even as a kid, I knew, I didn't care because they were all we were told they were cool people, whatever. But even as a kid, you're kind of go, this is odd. My dad gets broken ribs, and we're told not to, go, hug him or whatever. He's got to be off work, whatever. So this was during the week, and then the weekend comes. This is about 5 days later, I guess. And I know it was the weekend because it was Sunday morning, and we were up. We were up early, my brothers and I, and we were watching The Magic Door, which is this Jewish cartoon show. Like, it's in Chicago. I don't know if it's anywhere else. But I still don't come open the magic door with me. And all we knew was it was a shitty puppet show. We didn't even realize there was a subversive Jewish message behind it. None of us had any idea. We were just like, hey, why is that bear wearing a funny hat? I mean, like, literally, we had no, I don't know what the fuck a yarmulke is. I just think he's got a beanie on. What the fuck? So it was like this, it was Charlie or like this bear. It was like a beaver with like buck teeth. And he was like, hey, I like fucking matzah. I mean, I don't know what he said. But you watched it because it was 8:30 in the morning on a Sunday, and you're like, well, it's not Saturday, so what the fuck? And Giggle Snort Hotel's not on until 9. So you're just like, God damn it. So you had to watch The Magic Door. And there's a little dude, he was dressed like a mushroom, and he played a guitar, and he like floated. I mean, again, terrible. All those shows, when you describe them, they sound like a fever dream, like they didn't really happen. You know what I mean? You're just like, dude, are you sure you didn't see this when you were inhaling the gas in the basement? I mean, this might have been... that's what happened. My mom kicked the shit out of me with a pillow, and I imagined a Jewish cartoon show. Holy shit, that's one ass whooping. Boy, if you get your ass whipped so much you think of a Jewish puppet show, god damn, are you in trouble? Holy shit. Dude, how'd he do it? He had a yarmulke on. Oh, you got to turn the gas down. All right, so we're there, and we're up Sunday morning, and my brother Glenn he's walking around looking for a comic book. He can't find a comic book. And again, all these memories, I have them. It's just they're kind of vague. But what's funny is I know that I can tell you exactly the comic book he was looking for. It was a Spider-Man comic book, and on the front page was the Vulture with Spider-Man. And the reason I remember it so vividly because it was mine, and I loved it so much because I loved Spider-Man so much and Batman when I was a kid. Just anything like that drove me crazy. And it had been given to me by, it might have been Maggie. One of them brought it home for me. And it's funny. 3 years ago, when I was at my mom's house, and I don't have any of my pictures from my youth. I don't have any pictures of me as a kid. I don't have any. I have like one or two, maybe, because Karen stole them because my mom won't part with them. I don't know why, because my mom's a hoarder. I'm not going to lie to you folks. My mom has a basement that it is, one toppling set of boxes away from pinning her and having her be a story on fucking A&E. I mean, it's just that kind of thing where it's this path, this maze of my childhood is completely under lock and key down in the basement and will rot there. It will get washed away. Something will happen. Because one time when Karen and I first started dating her, even when we got married, she was looking at stuff and she wanted to take stuff. My mom was like, no, I'm going to keep that. And because I've got big plans for scrapbooking and making a big thing out of it and all that stuff. And, for sure. Right now it's holding down the floor in the basement. So, but when we were going through that box, there is a picture of me at 5 or no, at 7 or 6, sitting on the couch with that Vulture Spider-Man comic book in my lap. And I remember seeing it and go, whoa! Like I get this visceral charge of, holy shit, I remember that moment. I remember that absolute day. And that's a trip when that happens. So Glenn's looking for that comic book. He's walking around. And, he doesn't know where it is. He keeps coming to us. And at this point, Lenny and I are very kind to Glenn. Leave us alone. This is our relationship with Glenn because at this point, he's the middle kid because, Andy and Scott are around and he's just a pest. It's like, we tried to teach you about the stove, buddy. Take a walk. You know what I mean? We want... This is later that same year, but it's, So Glenn he's gonna find the comic. He's like, oh, where is it? And we were like, we think, I don't know, it might be in the bedroom. So he's looking around in the bedroom and he keeps bothering. Look, we're watching a Jewish puppet show, dude. I need to find out if Ishmael is gonna learn the proper lesson. From Booby. It was Booby the Beaver. That's who it was, Booby. I'm not even joking. It was Booby. That was his name. Because I remember I said Charlie. It's Booby. Booby the Beaver. Because he had little buck teeth and he looked fun to pet. Like I almost wanted to meet him because he looked like he might be fun to pet. All right, so even then, folks. So Glenn is like, I need to find the comic book, and we're like, we think it's in the bedroom, and he goes, well, help me turn the light on because it was on a lamp that was on the dresser that wasn't on a switch, and we're like, leave us alone, we're watching a show, whatever, and so Glenn is like, okay, so he disappears. We're watching The Magic Door, and I don't even know, time passes. And you just hear Glenn go, oh no, oh no, oh no! And he comes running out. And you know what's funny? Now that I remember it was just me watching TV. I was the only one in the living room watching TV. That's why it's very important to the story. Glenn comes running out. He's like, oh no, oh no, oh no! And I said, what? And he goes, there's a fire! And I go, what? And he goes, come here! And he goes, the bed's on fire! And I run over with him. And in the bedroom, the bunk beds are on fire. I don't know how the fuck it happened. All I know is there's a fire. The bunk beds are on fire. It's like, holy shit. So I go running over. Immediately, I run, and it's so funny. I run as hard as I can to the living room bed. Lenny's asleep. And I jump like a cannonball, like a swimming pool cannonball. Knees first. I land on the mattress. Boom! And he boinks up in the air. He's like, what? And I go, the bed's on fire! The bed's on fire! My brother thinks the bed he is in is on fire. He leaps up. I'll never forget his face. He leaps up like, whoa! And just runs. Runs out of the house. Sprints. Just takes off. Doesn't even help us. Doesn't help anybody. Just runs on his own. Oh, bed's on fire. Zoom! Runs off. So we're like, we don't know what to do. So we're like, the bed's on fire. So we don't want to get my mom and dad. My mom and dad. That's funny. My stepdad's name is Dan. We want to get my mom and dad, but I haven't said dad in so long. It's weird to say it. So we want to get my mom, but we don't want to wait. We want to be in trouble, and Dad's hurt. We know that Dad's hurt. So, but we can't. There's a fire in the bedroom. Smoke is coming out. So we go in and we get my mom. We're like, Mom, Dad, the bed's on fire. My mom opens her eyes. What? The bed's on fire. My mom, thinking the bed that she says is on fire, stands up immediately and runs out of the bedroom. Whoa! And I don't think I'd ever seen my mom run at that point. The most fucking physical activity I've ever seen on my mom was her beating the shit out of me with a goddamn pillow. But she jumps up and runs out of the bedroom, like, in her fucking nightgown. And my dad, he can't jump up, unfortunately, because his fucking ribs got stomped by the fucking, the Blow Flower gang, or whoever the fuck he wound up tangling with down at Lucky's. And he jumps up and he kind of like, and my mom goes up in the hallway and she sees the smoke and she's like, oh my God, Len, because my dad's name is Lenny. Lenny, the bed's on fire, there's smoke. And my dad gets up and he's in his fucking tighty whities. My dad was a big man. He was like 6'5", probably like 230. and he's got that fucking wrap on his ribs, and it must have killed him. It fucking killed him. But he climbs up, and he's like, oh, and he's like, fuck, and I can see the sweat and the anger in his face. But he's like, he gets out of the bed, and he kind of like ambles out. He sees the smoke, and he runs into the bedroom. Doesn't even think twice, and he goes in, my mom goes. He goes, open the door, and my mom goes to the back porch, and opens the back porch door, and he comes running out with the flaming mattress. My fucking dad, awesome hero, fucking tighty whitey's rib wrap, fucking beat the shit, fucking he has no control over himself or anything that's going on, but he's gonna save his goddamn family. He grabs the fucking mattress, picks it up, and just runs. He runs to the house, flaming mattress on his fucking shoulder. He's just running for the fucking back porch, and I'm just standing with my mouth open like, what the fuck is happening? He runs out. And then I see Andy coming out of the other bedroom. He's like my mom's room. And he's like rubbing his eyes. Whoa! Flaming father and mattress go flying past him. And he kind of like he doesn't know what to make of it. He's a kid. He's like freaking out. And my dad, it's freezing cold outside. It's so cold. And my dad runs out to the back porch and he just fucking throws the flaming mattress into the backyard. And it's still on fire. It's still fucking flaming. It goes flying and it lands fire side up. And my dad, he runs down and he just turns on the fucking garden hose and he just fucking squirts the hose all over the mattress. And he's putting out the fire. He's just, smoke in the yard, smoke billowing out of the house. And you just turn and you look. My mom's in her nightgown, standing on the back porch barefoot. My dad's wearing nothing but underwear and a goddamn rib flak jacket. All of us stupid kids in our pajamas are on the porch just standing there. My dad with his garden hose. Anybody who drove by is just like, yep, white trash. Honks. Keeps going. Just a family burning a mattress out in the yard. What the fuck is wrong with that family? Somebody get those people some marshmallows. They look sad. So, my dad puts out the fire with the fucking hose. He's just standing there soaked. Everything's soaked. He's wet, freezing. And Lenny's gone. I don't even know where Lenny is. It turns out Lenny ran out the front door. He's like out front in his pajamas. He comes wandering out there. He's like, what? And my mom just looks at she looks at me and him, of course. It's our fault. She goes, what the fuck did you do? And I immediately I point at Glenn and I go, talk to Glenn. He said there was a fire. And what had happened was Glenn really wanted that comic book, and he couldn't understand why his brothers wouldn't help him with the lamp. So my brother doesn't know how to work a chair, so he can climb up on it and get under the dresser and reach the lamp himself. Doesn't know how to work a flashlight. You know what my brother knows how to work? A lighter. And he went under the bed with a lighter looking for a comic book. And when he did that, all that nasty fucking mesh netting, think of a bed from the 70s. They're all fire traps anyway. But all that fucking ripped mattress, that gauzy shit is hanging down, and he's got the lighter on, and he's looking around for the comic book, and I can't even believe he got out from under the bed. I mean, I would have fucking panicked and lost my mind, but thank God, he saw the fire, and he probably was like, oh, and then it spread, and then he fucking just climbed out and went and got me, and so fucking looking for a comic book with a lighter. And we're all just out there on the porch, just fucking staring. And Glenn's he explains that he took the lighter to look for the comic book, and the only bad thing is, he burned the fucking bunk beds basically to the ground. So he got out of being grounded to the bed. Why didn't I think of that? It was at that moment I realized Glenn was probably ahead of his time as far as mischief. You guys can get me at mike@MikeSchmidtComedy.com. You guys can be my friend on Facebook.com/the40-year-old boy. You can follow me at Twitter.com/the40-year-old boy. You can be Lily Von Stup's friend at Facebook.com/Lily Von Stup. You can follow her on Twitter at Twitter.com/Lily Von Stup or Twitter.com/MNTs. And if you want to write her a note, something personal about how to make a turkey and make it taste good, how to cook a turkey a week in advance and make sure it doesn't taste like shoe leather when you cook it on an open flame in a park. If you want to write her a note about that, go ahead and write her a note at lily@burlesque411.com. That's Lily, Lili, at burlesque411.com.
Hey, all you fans of the 40-year-old boy. Mike's got new stuff to sell you. Stuff he hopes you'll enjoy. Just what's for sale, of course we do not know. All we can tell you
is where you should go.
Zazzle.com, 40-year-old boy. Zazzle.com, 40-year-old boy. Zazzle.com, 40-year-old boy. Zazzle.com.
Is your business you?
What kind of stuff's for sale? We already told you we don't know. 'Cause Mike made us record this song way back in February. So we can only speculate just what Mike will try to sell you. Maybe his face on a tambourine or his own line of gardening equipment. Zazzle.com, 40-year-old boy. Zazzle.com, 40-year-old boy. Zazzle.com, 40-year-old boy. Zazzle.com.
Maybe his own line of high chairs.
Zazzle.com.
His face on your personal massager.
Want to remind you folks about the Monday Night Tease every Monday night. Yes, Lily's laughing at me because before we got on the air, did it catch it? You actually might be in there. All right, I was just going. So, want to remind you folks about the Monday Night Tease every Monday night at the 3 clubs on Santa Monica and Vine, 10 o'clock p.m. show. Hey, Lily Von Stup.
Hey, Michael.
Big show coming up this week.
Great show coming up this week.
All right.
Another classic burlesque show. Lots of fun stuff.
Who are hosting?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, it's going to be a great show. Folks, come in and check it out. I actually went this week to the Monday Night Tease. I went to the strip club type of show and saw a girl pour syrup all over herself to pour some sugar on me and then go fucking straight up flash dance and pull a bucket of sugar and it all splashed. She had covered herself in syrup and then pulled the bucket and sugar splashed all over her. And I will tell you, in my old days, I'm licking her arm immediately. Like, it's not even an issue. If she's offering that. I mean, I don't push her to the ground and do it or anything like that because then my old days would have truly been my old days as the show wouldn't even occur. I'd be in jail right now for pushing over strippers and licking their arms. I only do that when asked. So, but she let other girls did it. Like, girls were licking her off. It got fun last week, folks. That was great. And Flame Cinders was there, and Marielle Lamode, and yeah, it was a festival of great asses last week. So it was really fun. And that was Christina
Nakaya.
Christina Nakaya. You can actually find her at nakaya.com. I'll plug her. Why not? Well, since I couldn't plug her, I'll plug her.
2010 Miss Exotic World first runner-up.
Yeah, she was great. If you can, yeah, I don't know. She's on Facebook and whatever. Who cares? Go find her, man, because she was hot. And she pulled. And she did. Here's the thing. She did a bit where she came out with the syrup and she's dancing around and looking hot and very little clothing. And then her friend brought the syrup out and then she opened the syrup and then she was dipping her fingers in it and sucking her fingers and licking the syrup. And this was the best part. She digs her fingers in the syrup and then she puts it on her but she puts the syrup between her legs. And as she kind of starts grinding in the chair and sucking on her finger, she squeezes her thighs together 3 times and makes the syrup shoot all over her. Dudes. I mean, see, it's the little things. It's the little things that bring home a routine like that. Because if she would have just poured syrup on herself, you're just well, that was pretty cool. But the fact, there's obviously the tease part of the burlesque is that, and but then she's vibing her thighs and having the syrup just overflow onto her, into her lap. Oh, dudes. And I love syrup flavor. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a fan of syrup flavor. I like honey. All right, so So that was it last week's Monday Night Tease. Who knows what will happen this week? Perhaps it could go completely bad. Maybe someone with a squeeze bottle of mayonnaise. Oh, that's terrible. You don't want to be licking mayonnaise off of anybody. Disgusting. All right, but still, come and see the show because you never. Again, who knows what condiment will be in play? So come and check out the Monday Night Tease every Monday night at Santa Monica and Vine 3 Clubs. Do you have any other shows to plug via your dancing or hosting? How about the Burlesque Podcast? Have you recorded a new one?
It hasn't been a new one, but I will tell you that Stripapalooza.
Stripapalooza.
Stripapalooza is happening December 13th.
Stripapalooza?
Yes, and that is a fundraiser for my medical bills.
Folks, we're having a fundraiser for Lily Von Stoop and her medical bills because as kind as most of you have been with our donations and as friendly as I have been to pay her of Mike Schmidt Inc., she still has medical bills. So Stripapalooza is December 13th at the 3 Clubs.
Yes, it is. Yes.
All right, at the 3 Clubs in Santa Monica and Vine. Are you dancing or performing or being there?
The farewell performance of Bad Knee.
Oh, Bad Knee is checking out?
Bad Knee is checking out, yes.
We knew-
She's going to get a cruise ship.
But that's good, though.
Yes,
We-
absolutely.
Yeah, we knew Bad Knee was only here for a short time.
And I will be performing that night.
Lily Von Stupp is performing on December 13th, so folks, make sure you come out to the show at the Monday Night Tease for Stripapalooza. That's a fundraiser for Lily. That seems weird. Pretty much every week's a fundraiser for Lily, but this one is really a fundraiser for Lily, so
We
come
have
on
20
out.
performers.
Wow, that's
Yes,
huge.
it's going to be a 3-hour show. It's going to be insane.
Great. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to do this. This is what I'm going to do. Anybody from this podcast who comes out there to the Stripapalooza and pays to get in, don't sneak in, don't be that guy. You can tell me if you don't want to do this because you're going to have to. There's a little work involved for you
Oh, shit.
because you work the door. But if you have a clipboard, like where people can put their name, anybody who can from this show who comes to Stripapalooza and gives Lily her name and their email address, I will give you a Super Angry Guy Jean Happy Good Time Yelling Hour. So. Or yelling combo. So you will get year 1 and year 2 of this podcast if you come and donate to Stripapalooza and help out our friend Lily. So anybody who comes out there gets a Super Angry Guy Jean Happy Good Time Yelling combo, but you'll have to give me your email address because otherwise you can't get it because I have no idea because it doesn't exist, really. It's literally just words in the air or on electric wires. So I need somewhere to send it. So if you come to the show, go to Lily and go, hey, look, I love the podcast and I need year 1 and 2 and give the email address, and then I will get everybody a combo hour for taking care of our friend Lily. Sure, whatever we can do. I'm sure you will look forward to hearing from nobody. What if people flew in from like Switzerland? All right, so
That'd be awesome.
that would be crazy. That person really wants to save $40 or 26 euro. I did that in my head, and if I'm right, I'm a genius. Write me and tell me. All right, I'm not a genius. We already know I took a test. So I want to tell you folks again about burlesquebears.com. Go to burlesquebears.com and help. That's also a fundraiser for Lily. She will create a burlesque bear for you. It's the holiday season. Why not get a Santa bear or a Mrs. Claus bear or a Hermie the dentist bear? I keep saying Herbie, and I think it's Hermie. I screw it up. I don't know, but who gives a fuck? He's an elf and he wants to be a dentist. I need to get his name right. He's not important in the great scheme of things. You know what? She'll actually make you a Yukon Cornelius bear. And but instead of a beard on his face, hello. You'll make a Booby the Beaver? She'll make you a Booby the Beaver bear. There you go. That's fine. She actually wrote that down as a possible name of the show. I'm like, come on. I talked about him for 5 seconds. It can't be the name of the show. But look him up, Booby the Beaver. And it's real, the magic door. Check it out. All right. It was a guy who lived in a mushroom, and he was a little tiny dude in a danskin. All right. So go to burlesquebears.com and get Lily on board to make you a Christmas present that has a bear involved with burlesque and sluttiness. So I want to remind you, friends, about our friend Rob Matsushita. He's a filmmaker. He's over at ClaymorePictures.net. Go ahead and check him out. Watch his web series, Chapel. If you guys want a trainer, don't forget to go to realworldfit.com and look for my friend Sean Richardson. And you can follow him at twitter.com/realworldfit.com. Of course, you can go to MikeSchmidtComedy.com, and there's the Joe Business page right there for your perusal. You can go to the Zazzle store. I think you may have heard somebody singing about it earlier, but the Zazzle store, always open, and I will tell you, there's always ideas being cooked up. You never know what's going to show up there, folks. Well, actually, you will know because I'll tell you. But right now, it's the same stuff, so go check it out. But there may be some other stuff coming up soon. Who knows? So go to the Zazzle store. Again, you can get through the Joe Business page. You can click through. You can also, if you want to go ahead and pick up a year 1 or year 2, if you cannot make December 13th at the Stripapalooza, and you want to just go ahead and purchase year 1, year 2, or the Super Angry Guy Jean Happy Good Time Yelling combo, go ahead and purchase it on the MikeSchmidtComedy.com website and go to the Joe Business page and do that. And you can also donate to this show, as I've mentioned, as many of you have. As a matter of fact, this entire show, folks, this entire absolute show was brought to you with the help of our friend. Let's see. Well, hold on. I had it somewhere. Where is it? This was brought to you by Michael H. Michael H. went ahead and donated for the show. And why not Matt L.? Matt L. and Michael H. Both took care of us this show, and we appreciate it very much. Thank you so much, Matt L. and Michael H. You know, I would say people's names, but again, I don't want them to freak out and go, oh, I can't believe you said my name. And on the same show, you were talking about your dad taking a shit in his pants. That's not good. That would be awful. All right, so if you want to donate to the show, you go to the MikeSchmidtComedy.com. There's up in the left-hand corner, there's a little Schmitty, and you can fill his pockets with good cheer because it is the season, from what I understand. You can go to Facebook.com/40yearoldboy, and there are pages to bring me to your towns. You can go to the Bring Mike Schmidt to Phoenix. Austin, Texas, right now is active. Also, the Ozarks is active, and also Portland is absolutely active. I've been getting news on the Portland front and the Phoenix front that things may be moving forward. I'm not sure just yet, but we will see. And don't forget, you can join the Westside 86 Jokers. That's the Mike Schmidt fan club page. Go ahead to Facebook and find it. It'll be posted in a link on my page. You can go there and do that. And also, someone sent me a really cool photo that I'm going to, they found it somewhere else. A listener found it and said, dude, check this out. And I'm going to put it, I will post it on my Facebook wall tonight. I don't know if I can do that, or at least a link to it. I don't know how to do it. But someone emailed it to me on Facebook. Whatever, who cares? I'll figure out a way to do it. But you have to, it made me laugh, but it also made me go, seriously? Really? Of course that happened. So I will go ahead and put up that picture. I'll spare you. You'll see. Let's see, Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Enjoy your turkey. And if you're flying, cover your balls, I think is that's the message. Or don't. Quite frankly, I don't, honestly, when I heard all that, they're like, hey, man, you don't want to fly. You got to go ahead and protest. You got to do this. I'm just like, yeah, I mean, I almost, part of me wishes I was flying just to see the chaos because, of course, no one, look, I'm not telling you to take it lying down. If you protest and you don't think that it's something that should be done, by all means, act up and do whatever you got to do. But these idiots who keep filming themselves in Speedos and the chick in the see-through underwear from fucking Furry Girl, I mean, I shouldn't give her a website. Well, maybe I should. Yeah, Furry Girl. Why not? She stripped down and went through in see-through panties and see-through no bra and anything and walked through. And I didn't watch the whole thing because it was 12 minutes. All I wanted to see was her fucking vagina. That's really the only reason I did. I could have gone to her website and avoided her giving me a moral lesson. I could have just looked at her fucking vagina. But instead, I went and watched, because it's an 11.5-minute thing, so I'm like, well, there's going to be a big deal. No, it's not. She essentially just put the camera down in the tub and then took her clothes off, and then it was a lot of walking, and you saw the ceiling. Like, I couldn't... Look, I don't want to hear the soundtrack of a porn star getting busted in see-through underwear. I think I'm going to have eyes on that, quite frankly. And now, guys, they said wear kilts with no underwear and make them grab your balls and all that, and I'm just like, well, yeah, I mean, okay, but you're kind of thinking that the TSA isn't into that. I mean, I got to think that at some point... the TSA is going to fight back and go, all right, fellas, who wants to grab balls? Because you're going to be the front lines. And they're going to fucking totally grab balls. And I got to be honest with you, I don't care. I really don't care. I mean, I don't like it, okay? And I don't want them to do it. I don't think they should do it. But I mean, I think I'd rather have the pat down than the fucking. Well, no, fuck no. Yeah, I'd go through the walkthrough, right, and just get cancer in 5 years. Who the fuck knows? Again, no one knows what's going to happen. I'm either going to blow up in the sky, or I'm going to get cancer in 5 years, or I'm going to come in my pants and have to sit with it on the plane the entire time because somebody jerked me off. I mean, seriously. I don't get it. And I can't go through that fucking walker thing because my cock looks exactly like a box cutter. I don't know if you guys know. Literally, it does. It has a little switch on the side, and when you push it forward, little guy pokes out. Boom, there you go. That's trouble. So I can't go through the walk. I got to get a pat down, and which is fine. Again, I'm looking forward to it. I might just. I actually wrote this in the email this week. I might just book a flight to Las Vegas just to get somebody to give me a fucking get some sock chowder pumped out of me. That'll be fine. I'm all for it. All right, I'm probably wrong. Everything's falling apart, folks. It's America. I'm glad I'm 43. I'm glad I'm halfway to death, man. And halfway is being generous. I'm glad I've only got 5 years left to live because it's all coming down, man. Everybody is out for themselves. They're filming themselves like, hey, I'm going to wear a Speedo and film it and put it on the, I mean, it's an instantaneous asshole. That's literally, that's what the internet is. It's like find asshole and add camera. That's it. That's the internet. Holy God. Every fucking idiot is to film themselves. Why? Why do I spit out this random bullshit that nobody fucking cares about? I am peddling obscenity. I am going to get a whole fucking army of you people, and you know what we're going to do? We're going to listen to me and then do nothing for an entire fucking week. I can't be trusted. Don't you people know this? It was like the Back to the Future of suck. I don't want to have a boner in somebody else's pants. I need to shoot up heroin and jog. Hey, ass fuck, are you listening to anything that I'm saying to you? Fuck, somebody's got to shut that old guy up. And I'm like, fuck you! I'm not a potato! I'm a goddamn cantaloupe! Hi, Mike. Hi, Mike. Hi, Mike. Hi, Mike. Hi, Mike. Hi, Mike. Hi, Mike.